Hi, welcome back.
Hi.
Hey.
Episode, I think this is episode 5. So, is my realtor better than yours? How do you know? So, what we do know is that not all realtors are created equal. So, how do you spot ones who actually know what they're doing versus ones that just look good online?
Right.
Today, we're pulling back the curtain to find out how to find the right realtor in Edmonton.
All right, now before we get started, let's just get the disclaimer out of the way. The content of this show is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice. For advice specific to your circumstances, you must consult a licensed professional. Realtors on this show will provide tailored real estate guidance only to their exclusive clients. This program is not intended to solicit those already in a service agreement with another realtor.
Fantastic. Okay. So, welcome to Edmonton Relocation Insider Live, or ERiL for short. Let's introduce the hosts.
I'm Josiane.
And Josiane is a RE/MAX River City powerhouse, bringing her no-nonsense approach and deep knowledge of the Edmonton market. And I'm Kimberly Graham.
You guys, so just 1 second. I lost my notes. They disappeared. I hit a button. And I'm gonna kill myself for this one.
All right. You can edit it.
Yep. Here we go. Shows don't always happen smoothly, especially when they're pseudo live. Okay, Kimberly Graham, also a RE/MAX River City, also with RE/MAX River City, known for her wit, honesty, and knack for telling it like it is. And I'm Jenn McPhillamey.
Jenn's from Initia Real Estate and 274 Podcast Hub, making sense of the noise and keeping things real with her fresh, creative take.
Thank you. Okay. Together, we host ERiL Edmonton Relocation Insider, your go-to question and answer about moving to Edmonton and living in Edmonton. We are here Sunday at 1 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Eastern, and Thursday, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. This is a space where we answer your questions about Edmonton, share insiders' perspective, help you figure out if this city is the right fit for you, and answer any burning questions you have about Edmonton real estate. Okay, so in today's show, we're going to talk to you about finding the right realtor. We're going to explore simple check first. This for finding a realtor for sellers, finding a realtor for buyers, debunking the dark side, smart shortcuts, and the power of referrals. So I want to start first with the simple check first. And Kim is very good at doing this. So why don't you let people know how they can do that simple check?
Oh, yeah. Rika name search. So I think they call it a licensee search. So for those of you listening and you're like, who's Rika? Rika is not related to ERiL. She is a totally different entity altogether. Stands for the Real Estate Council of Alberta. We have one in every province. That one is just ours. So they're the ones who govern the licensing aspect. So you can Google, Rika name search or Rika licensee search or ECA, and you can find it. And then you can put in based on first name, last name, city. We actually think if you're going to find someone, you want to find someone, the less information, the better. Like say you want to go look at me and make sure I actually am Kimberly with RE/MAX River City. You would just put in my first name and all the Kimberlys would show up, past, present, all that kind of stuff. And that's how you find them.
Yeah, and it's really important because if you believe it or not, sometimes people try to practice real estate, or I think can you check for mortgage brokers on there too?
Yeah, anybody and property managers, anybody Rika licenses.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you're working with somebody that's actually licensed.
Right.
Okay, so moving on. Sellers. What to look for in a listing agent, like red flags, how to know if your realtor will actually market your home effectively.
I guess the question is what does effectively mean to you guys? What do you think is effective marketing for a listing? Let's break it down. I think photos are huge. And I'm not saying taking them by yourself itself equals bad. It doesn't. Sometimes we do that. I had a listing a few years ago in Alberta Ave, and this was like a teardown. Okay. Like you could buy it and live in it, but it had some foundation issues. And yes, that was disclosed. And it was a corner lot. So we just took outside photos and then we edited them using the software that we have. And the pictures turned out great. And we didn't want to do inside photos because we wanted to drive home the point that this was for investors only. And that's who purchased it. So
Right.
we're not saying it's bad. It is bad. I'm so sorry. If you're sitting in your car and taking a picture from your driver's seat and I can see the outline of your window, you guys might need to find Jesus on that because that's not how we do things.
Or when they have their thumb in
or their thumb, yeah.
Oh my God. Right.
Yeah. Photos
so
101.
professional photos, yeah, because that's the first way people get introduced to the property. So a good question to ask when you're interviewing a seller's agent is, how are the photos being done, and see what their answer is. Are you using a professional photographer? And like like what Kim said, if it's something like a teardown, it might not be applicable, but if you're listing the home and it's with the intention of someone living in there, you want to get your best foot forward with those pictures.
Yeah. And sometimes if it's tenant occupied, I think that's another reason why you might not have inside photos if they don't give permission.
Yeah. Or if it's really messy, there's been situations in the past where I remember one specifically. Now, this is when I sold real estate in Winnipeg and the occupant was a hoarder. So I think she was probably embarrassed to have her photos online, and that's okay. We're respectful of those things. Ultimately, in general, you should be able to ask your realtor for examples of their past listings and the types of marketing that they will do. I call it a show and tell. We're going to show them, don't tell them. I show up to listing appointments with my laptop or my iPad, and I'm happy to show you the iGuides, the videos, the tours, all that kind of stuff. And I know that you guys do the same.
What else do you guys consider effective marketing?
I think honestly, making sure the entire listing is filled out as much as possible. Like, for example, unless it's an adults only condo, for example, we would not do this on this. Can you guys guess what I would not put on a listing for an adults only condo?
Not sure.
I wouldn't put schools information. Obviously, because that's not relevant. So, like those 45 plus or 18 plus buildings, nobody cares about the elementary school. That shouldn't even be attached to it. But like, we always make sure room measurements are in there, even in the photos. If we have like a map,
garage measurements. Oh my God.
Garage measurements, like all of those things. And every little piece that you can fill in is going to be, I think, probably better SEO for your listing, but also, sometimes people aren't going to read the descriptions, but they'll look at the little pieces of information. So that stuff's really, really important.
Also, that those fields are there for searchability purposes, right?
Yeah.
Not just like SEO, but for like if a buyer's agent has a client that wants something specific, if you filled out all the information you possibly could about the property, and then somebody does a very specific search, your property will actually get picked up instead of missed.
Yeah. And I think honestly,
that's a pet peeve of mine. Is that if I have clients searching for a separate entrance and I have that in my criteria, it doesn't come up. But if I take that criteria out and search manually, then I can find the thing. So it's if an agent isn't going to be putting in all the hard work to search all those things manually, your seller's agent is causing you to miss opportunities.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes it's not about the buyer's agent not wanting to do that work. Sometimes they do, but we might have a buyer come to us and say, hey, Joseanne, or hey, Jenn or Kim, I want to purchase this property or like these two properties as an investor. I already did I found these, like, you've been my girl for a long time. Let's just go buy them. And our job is to follow our clients' lawful instructions. So if they don't want to look for others, even if we offer, like, you're going to miss out. And accuracy of information, like what you're talking about, Joseanne, actually isn't even an omission. It's like, if you don't want to put in schools information, that's fine, but not putting in the fact that it has a separate entrance, or putting in that it does when it doesn't, and not understanding what that means. Accuracy of information is also very huge. In my opinion.
I had a realtor put in, and it was an error after I confronted them, but it was very frustrating because we didn't know until we went to see the property, and these people needed 3 bedrooms above ground, and they had put that, but it was actually only a 2-bedroom above ground. and they're like, my kid's not going to sleep in the basement.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's huge. Yeah, some people
Yeah.
just aren't. And there are people who would love that, right? So you have an older teenage son, or you want to use the third bedroom as just an arts and crafts room. You don't care where it is. That's fine.
Mhm.
But again, we have the ability to put where it is. Another big thing they came up with that in the last handful of years is main floor bedrooms and main floor full bathrooms. We have large communities who love that sort of thing. Like, so you're able to search that sort of thing. So if you just put that you have 4 bedrooms upstairs, but it's actually 3 up and 1 on the main, you're missing out.
Yeah, because there's a lot of reasons why, like whether it's cultural or accessibility, like mobility issues, like some people just need to have that 1 bedroom
Right.
on the main floor and don't need, like, can't do stairs very often or don't want to do them at all. And so noting that is like
Pretty big.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
big.
even like some people used it as a home office, like that when
Yeah.
everybody started moving in. So it was like, oh, do they have a room? You know, that extra room?
Yeah,
on the
like a
floor?
flex space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then
content.
probably pricing, would you guys say like pricing's pretty like, you know, should be part of the effective marketing?
I
Yeah,
totally think so.
pricing is huge. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
especially when the market is shifting, you need to stay ahead of that, so you're not chasing the prices down. So that's always a huge conversation. Is the seller's agent telling you what you want to hear? Are they showing you the data, or they're just telling you, like, you know, how can you justify what they're saying? So that's really huge. If someone's giving you a price of your home, ask them to show you the information so that you can see it for yourself and not just hear someone talk.
Yeah, you're right though. Like when it comes to timing, right? For pricing is really tied into timing, because if it's a market that the prices are like going up, then yeah, it's like not going to hurt you as much as if the prices are going down, or it's a flat market, because you could just try it. You know, it's like, prices are going up, things aren't sitting on the market at all, so let's just see what happens. But if you are in a decline or flat and you don't price it right, your property is going to sit and probably get some stigma.
Agreed. And another side
Yeah,
of that
exactly.
is knowing someone who knows how to decipher, yes, all of that stuff. And Josiane is 100% right. It's a show them, don't tell them. If they're not showing up with the data. So let's just say you're a seller and you decide to do your due diligence and interview 2, 3, 4 realtors, whatever the case may be. And say 3 of the 4 realtors all tell you your house is worth, let's say, $500,000. And you're like, well, I really want $550,000. And then the other person's like, yeah, can totally get $550,000. I mean, it would be in your best interest to ask them to prove it, because people have this fear that realtors are only out for a quick sale. I'm sorry, I just don't think that is universally a truth. It's just not. You might tell me I want to fire sale this and we need to undervalue it, and that's fine. But you're not doing yourself any favors by just going with someone who tells you the highest price if they can't show you why they think that. If they can show you why they think that and they can discern the information, that's great. But also, like to Jen's point on days on market, like sometimes days on market can seem really, really high or really, really low, and there needs to be reasons for that. And if your realtor can't explain what those reasons are, I don't know, like maybe they don't have experience in the area. So to give you an example, if you're talking about, say you own a house in McConaughey. McConaughey is a bit of a newer area. It's 10-ish years old. And the average days on market for other sales is going to look extremely high. And that's because you're likely competing with new builds. And new builds can sometimes list when they're just a dirt plot. So they could show up as 300 days on market, and that is going to skew the numbers. You need to work with someone who understands those distinctions.
McConaughey. Yeah. Put that into Google Maps, side note, and you're going to go to Makanachi.
Oh. Or is that what Google does? Oh, yeah. They call Jose. In my Siri calls you Jose. I'm really sorry.
Oh yeah, Josiane worked with a client of mine when I had to leave, and it's a little confusing because they only like to text.
Oh,
and I'm like, Jose spelled the same as Jose. This is Jose, and this is Jose, spelled the same but different.
Different
pronunciations. Yeah.
She's Jamaican Jose.
Yeah. So okay, I think that's some great advice for sellers or people that are looking to sell, to be able to question what realtors do to market their home effectively. So we have pricing, pictures, putting in the data properly. All of that stuff is going to help. And all of that stuff is not done equally between realtors if they don't have the knowledge or the understanding of why they should do things a certain way.
Right.
Or the work ethic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving into buyers, choosing someone who represents you, not just pushing a sale, and why negotiation skills matter more than you think.
Yeah. Josanne, what do you think?
So choosing a buyer's agent. So it comes down to asking questions. Like if you email this person, maybe you're finding them on realtor.ca and you're like, I want to see this house. They need to know more about you. They need to ask questions so they can understand what you need. So if it's someone that's an agent that's jumping to show you properties without actually finding out if you're set up for success, then that's a huge red flag. In order to know what you want, we have to have deep conversations. Are you paying cash? Are you pre-approved? If you're not pre-approved, that's where we have to start, not looking at properties, because you might be setting up yourself for failure if you don't have your finances in order. So if
it's not just about like the price, right? Like the amount of money somebody makes, because you could have somebody that just makes a lot and they're like, oh, that won't be a problem, but then there's like something to do with their credit or their debt ratio.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of things that go into it, right? It's not
they
just
just bought a car.
Yeah.
Or they just got divorced. Like if you got divorced within the last, what is it? There's like a 2-year threshold for like divorce and separation, all that stuff. Now you can be legally separated and talk to your lawyer. Again, we are not lawyers. Please talk to a lawyer. Get a separation agreement. That way, if you are, you can go purchase it, and then your soon-to-be ex-spouse doesn't own that property. Those are really important things. It's more than just I make $200,000 a year. My friend also makes $200,000 a year, and they bought a house for $800,000. I should be able to buy a house for $800,000. Well, you don't know. Like you have no idea about what happened with your friend. Maybe they got gifted $500,000 from their grandfather. Who knows? So, yeah, Josanne.
Another thing too on the pre-approval. Sometimes buyers think they have a pre-approval, and the mortgage person makes it sound that way, but they haven't pulled the credit as yet. Yeah. So that's another thing too. When you're getting a pre-approval, if you're ready to go house hunting, have your credit checked. It's scary, but if you're actually serious and you're ready to go, you don't want to make an offer on a property and then when it comes time to the lenders to figure out everything, then they realize, okay, your credit is poor. Like get everything done.
Yeah. So that's called a pre-qualification, when someone just gets the bare bones without pulling credit. And I'll tell you another reason why, especially in today's climate in Edmonton, it's so important to have your pre-approval in place and get a letter. So as like I do a lot of listings, and a pre-approval letter and a pre-approval in general is not, we're not writing check. Like that is just a step of due diligence. It shows me that the bare bones have been done, right? So if I have a buyer's agent bringing me an offer, we have to assess the risk. Like I don't want my seller to go off market for 2-ish weeks and just to find out that you actually never pulled credit to begin with. And actually you claimed bankruptcy 3 years ago. And I say this with all the respect in my heart. It's true though. There's other things that, that would be an opportunity for that purchaser to work on their credit or do whatever they need to do, find alternative financing. But now my client's been pending for 2 weeks and we've lost the market. So what a lot of realtors are doing is requesting pre-approval letters to come with the offer. So the more ready you are, like you wouldn't want you to miss out on a dream house or be looking in the wrong price point.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. So another thing you asked here, Jen, is like you use the word you, like choosing someone who represents you. So can we talk about fit for a second? Because I think that is like the undercurrent of how to choose the right realtor. What do you think?
Yeah, like I've heard actually stories, like horror stories. I can't say if it's this market or what market, but just like around, North America, there's sometimes people push for sales and they don't necessarily care if it's like the right place for the person. They just want to get the sale. And so they're not really looking out like that. And that's like against the fiduciary duties. Like they should be really looking out for their best interest. and not pushing a sale. Like, and buyers need to be very careful on classifying it that way or not, because not always is that the case. Sometimes if a realtor's telling you that this is a good deal to purchase it, is they're not pushing for a sale. They're just giving you the reality of it. Like sometimes there isn't something better for the price that you have, like to work with, it's not pushing for a sale. It's just, this is like the reality of it. And unfortunately, I think Kim and Josanne, you've seen people not wanting to believe that advice at first and have lost maybe a couple perfect places for themselves until they come to the realization what you're telling them was actually true. And, then they don't miss out the next time something comes along. It takes them a little bit longer to find something.
Yeah, there's no question that happens. I will tell you guys a story. Now, this is, again, a Winnipeg story. Most of my stories are Winnipeg stories, a little bit crazy. And these people, I had been working with them not super long. So this would have been the first offer they wrote on a property. And I don't remember the numbers, but I remember we were about $5,000 or $10,000 apart. Let's say $5,000. And the seller kept countering us. Let's say it was listed at $250. We wrote $240, and the seller kept countering us at $245. And I was like, look, like the house is totally worth this. It's the only house, like it's completely rebuilt. The house had a fire and was completely rebuilt to the point that actually GST was applicable, which is a whole thing if your house is rebuilt past a certain percentage. And the sellers were even willing to cover the GST because like what first-time buyer wants to pay that? So all of that was like sorted. This house was amazing. It was in an area called St. Vital. It was amazing, really gorgeous. And because we hadn't really known each other super long, they actually asked me if I was trying to encourage them to take this counter so that I could make extra money. And I was like, I will make $250. Like, I'll give you the $250. So we kind of lost the trust, I think, a little bit on both sides. But, those things just happen. I ended up choosing not to work with them because that seemed like an odd response. And I've never been accused of that since. So they missed out on a really good house because they decided to be suspicious of me. Now, in reality, if you find someone who you jive with, like let's just say your best friend bought and sold with this person, so you have some real life experience, you've met them, the energy matches, you feel really heard by them. Like they're like, hey, let's sit down for a coffee or a Zoom meeting. Zoom is my favorite because you can do it in your jammies on a Saturday morning if that works for you guys. And then if you decide you don't like each other, it's no harm, no foul. But yeah, like then you get an idea. And if they feel like they really listen to you, you're going to build that trust and you're going to get where you want to go faster.
So what if you really like somebody? What else should you find out about them? Like say they're awesome and you're like, they're going to be your best friend, but do you think they should have a little bit more skill than that?
Yeah, I think they should. Although I don't necessarily feel like just because an agent is newer versus say decades of experience that is good or bad. It's about fit for you. Mm-hmm. So sometimes there's advantages to both sides of that. Obviously, someone who's been, let's just say 40 years. None of us have been 40 years in the business, but let's say somebody's been 40 years in the business. They've seen it all. They're going to have some skill sets, but you never know. Like, and this isn't at all, this is a generalization. Let's say that 40-year veteran has decided they're going to go down to part-time. And because they want to spend lots of time with their kids and grandkids. And that's there's total merit to that. And it doesn't mean they're not taking on new clients. It just means their schedule is going to be different. Versus say somebody who's 2 years in the industry and they're super hungry for business and they're willing to just like go to bat for you. If you're the type of person that say you work out of town, you're 7 days on, 7 days off, and you have to fly in, you have a really wonky schedule, and you've got kids and dogs and a spouse and all this stuff, and you just need someone who's available on Friday nights because that's the best night for you. Hey, listen, somebody with a little more time on your hands who you feel heard by might be a better choice for you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And negotiation skills, do you think they matter more than people
100%.
think? Or
yeah, they 100% matter.
Yeah.
Do you know how I think you can kind of tell? And this is a hard thing to tell until you're in it. So sometimes when you're in it, if somebody says, hey, like the seller keeps countering us at this price, do you really want this house? Because there's a difference between black and white value and subjective value. Like subjective value is my sister lives 3 doors down and we want our kids to grow up together. That is a lot of money in subjective value. Okay. Mm-hmm. But another way you can really tell if somebody probably has good negotiation skills is if they know how to explain contracts to you. because that is somebody with good experience. That's probably a way to tell. If you're being asked to sign an offer to purchase or a buyer representation agreement or a consumer guide without it being explained to you, that's a red flag, in my opinion.
Yeah, in general, never sign anything that you don't understand.
Yeah. That's one of my life rules. Get it in writing and read before you sign it. Like,
oh yeah, one of our first videos that we did was on representation and the contract itself, and we go over some really key points of what to look for in those contracts.
yeah.
So if you haven't watched that video, you should definitely check that out.
And when it comes to negotiation, it's not only the price, and you kind of alluded to it, Kim, when you said the contract. What about the terms? That's also important. Some sellers, they care a lot about the possession date because maybe they made an offer on a property and they need the timelines to match, or any other reason. Having that buyer's agent ask those questions to the seller's agent to find out, okay, since possession is important, we can use that as a negotiating tool. And the terms, the conditions, goods included, like all of those things matter when it comes to negotiating.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's talk about some things that are bad in negotiations. Like, what should you not put in a contract? Let's just say it's a busy market, you're in multiple offers. What should you not put in a contract? What do you guys think? I have some ideas if you're not sure.
Like additional terms, I find it might be a little bit extra. Like I find some agents put in cleaning in there, or a walkthrough. When it comes to competing, the cleaner the contract is, the less things in it, then the more you have a chance to stand out. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Was that it?
That is what I'm talking about. Cleaning walkthroughs, I think we should be a little more open to, especially if it's just like, hey, I just want to make sure the tenant moved out without damage, or we just want to go, it's just going to be, and I have a walkthrough clause that's like a paragraph and a half long because we need to create clarity around this. But I'm okay to agree to a walkthrough. And I tell my seller, like, this is not a bad thing to agree to. It keeps everyone honest and it creates smooth closings. I just want to make sure stuff like the appliances work. Like, there's no reason to not agree to that for the most part. Okay. As long as you create some clarity around it. But there will be people who will ask for furniture that's not included. And they'll ask for things that are specifically excluded. Like, say there's an electric fireplace or something like that. That's a chattel. Chattel means movable thing. And they're like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, I want the farmhouse table. I want the fireplace, and I don't care. And I want carpet cleaning, and I want the windows. Like, the seller does not care that you want that.
Throw in the tractor.
Yeah. The tractor is a proffer. That's fine. We can ask for the tractor. But in a buyer's market, you can sometimes get away with stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you a lot of the reason why people don't want to agree to a walkthrough or cleaning. And it's because expectations can go out the window, even if they're set properly. So you have a professional cleaner who goes in there for 5 hours. A team of 2 goes in there for 5 hours, cleans the house top to bottom. I swear to you, the amount of times I've had a buyer's mom, find an issue and create World War III over the fact that the windows still have streaks on them, and threaten to call the lawyer and threaten this and threaten that. Like, we've had to block people. It's crazy. And like, that's just not how I think people need to be conducting themselves. Like, that's why sellers don't want to agree to it. It's because of reasons like that.
Yeah. I've had actually experience with a negotiation in a busy market. We were in multiples, and we were significantly, actually we were the lowest offer and we won.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
because we didn't have any conditions. Yeah. So we didn't have, we had a good deposit though. So your deposit's non-refundable once you remove conditions. So there's no conditions. The sell on it was these people were moving. I knew these people were moving out of province, and they had to decide that night. So I told the other realtor that if they're willing to accept our price, they can go to bed tonight knowing their home is sold.
Yep. There you go.
And they don't have to wait the 2 weeks for a property inspection or for a financing condition or anything like that. And so that kind of stuff can hold value. So it's not always about price. It's definitely, about the terms of the contract, whether it's cleaning or whether it's removing conditions. I don't recommend not having conditions. In fact, like, you'd have to sign something to understand that you understand, the risk of removing a property condition or something like that. The people I was actually working with were like they had their skilled trade workers, so they understood building processes, and they had a really detailed review of the home. The home was newer; it was still a little bit under warranty, so they weren't very concerned about it, and I didn't think it was that big a risk either. And they're still in there today and very happy. So
Nice.
Yeah. Love
Okay.
that.
Let's go to debunking the dark side. Paid lists, flashy marketing, social media noise. What's real and what's smoke and mirrors?
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you think, Jen?
Well, I think that this is such a big topic that we actually have another video on this. So we're going to get right into that. But I mean, from a surface level, I would definitely see like where's this list coming from? So if you're going to go on to, let's just say Yelp to look for a realtor, check who's this on the sponsor. Like if it say sponsored, are these sponsored top realtors or are they actually? Like, you know, so.
And it's okay. Like, let's have a disclaimer here. It's okay to pay for marketing. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And if that means you find your realtor that way, like look at the ad, you're like, hey, this person looks like they're friendly, right? You guys ever get that? Like I saw your picture, you look like you were friendly.
Yeah,
that is so
yeah.
They just want someone that they vibe with or they feel like they can trust and be vulnerable with. That's really common. Great. Then go find other social proof, because let's just say you've got an agent who has paid advertising, but they have no other web presence. I'm not saying don't interview them. I'm just saying that's an opportunity to dig deeper. And I'm not talking about perfect social media. I'm talking about other things, like some other things, right?
Yeah. I like a good Google review.
Yeah.
Seeing like you can't control people on Google. So sometimes the best realtors could have like a negative review. You can see how they respond to that. Could be somebody that's just like has no basis for what they're saying. Reviews on YouTube videos.
And like back to the no basis, like I have a friend who this is a while ago, and this person was like had been called by one spouse to potentially talk about selling the property. Turns out it was a fairly contentious separation / future divorce situation. And then the spouse's soon to be ex had all of their friends write a 1-star review on this person's Google. Yeah, to the point the person had to take it down for a little while. So you kind of have to take some of that stuff with a grain of salt and understanding that I don't know if people are paying for reviews or whatever, and sometimes you could have your friends doing it, but you just got to step back and look at bigger picture stuff. Like, what are the reviews saying, right? Like, are they specifically, let's just say you're looking for somebody who specializes in investment properties or first-time buyers, and a lot of the reviews, maybe they only have 20, but every single one talks about how awesome they were at helping them find a great investment property. That's a solid realtor choice for you.
Yeah. And you'll definitely find consistency in what people are saying about that realtor. Exactly. So if you're finding something that you don't want and it's consistently in multiple reviews, then you kind of know, okay, maybe this person's not the right fit for me. Or if you're seeing something that you want in a realtor consistently in those reviews, then you're like, okay, I like this person.
Yeah. Because
then if there's a one-off review and that's like the only review that's crappy, then you have an idea, okay, so this is just a one-off thing. Maybe like you're saying, this person's contentious or whatever the reason is. Yeah. So
it could even be fake. Like I remember, like for example, so we're talking about Google reviews, but there's also other things like Rate My Agent or Rank My Agent. Those are the ones that connect to the realtor.ca profile. So I personally prefer Google reviews. I think they're better. But with the Rank My Agent one, I remember I woke up one day and there was like a negative review and I was like, what? And it was for someone with my first name, but a totally different last name in like some city in Ontario. And it was like it was like I had to scroll and scroll. And my heart's like pounding. I'm like, oh my God. So with Rank My Agent, if it's obviously whoever this disgruntled client was, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, and I'm not saying the realtor's right or wrong. I'm just saying I was not the realtor they were looking for. How they found me in Edmonton and not Ontario, I don't know. But you're able to tell Rank My Agent, like this is not a legitimate review. So you're not going to get a lot of fake reviews on Rank My Agent. On Google, you can. You can contact Google, but you probably need to wait 5 to 7 business years for it to be taken down, and like who knows, right?
Rank My Agent, though, you're also not going to get real negative reviews because you have to approve them, and it's not like you don't have to give a reason to not. You just like I don't approve it.
Yeah.
So, but with Google, there could be legit stuff on there. Also, Google, I have a bone to pick with you because I have good reviews that don't show
Yeah.
up. I've had clients who are
Right?
like, "Oh, look, I did a review," and they like screenshot and like nobody else can
Yeah.
see it except them. Like,
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, this isn't real. I'm like, I absolutely sold Shannon a house. Like, she's my sister-in-law. I sold her that house. Same last name. They're like, well, that makes it suspicious. I'm like, it's not weird. That someone who is related would work together. That's not weird.
Mhm.
Thanks so much.
oh yeah, so that kind of goes into our next point, which was smart shortcuts, which we already kind of touched on. One thing I would like to talk about is the social proof thing that you mentioned already. I like to call it social stalking. I'm sorry if it's offensive,
fair.
but just like I don't think you should put too like I think it's a good thing to do. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
But not always does that mean it's a bad realtor. So or they don't
Right.
really know what they're doing. But for me, like in my ideal realtor probably would have some because I'd like to see like what that they're really doing what they're doing. Some social media can be very misleading, like the debunk back to the debunking. There's these which we'll go over more in that other episode, but there's literally lists that come out that like list like top realtors or top whatever, and like I didn't even hear some of these people. I don't even know like where they found, and they don't even like have the people on there that are like top sales in like our industry, or like people that like we know
Right.
are like the top weird.
Yeah.
So
So how are they getting
something
on the
that
list
they
then?
paid. They
I have
paid.
no idea. Like I had a friend, I think like her dad is also a realtor, and she made the list and he made the list, and she was under him on the list. She was like writing emails like, what, why? Like my dad doesn't even do social media. Like how, like what are you talking about? Like
Yeah.
these were like top social media realtors or something list. Like so these people, I don't know if like, I mean we'll go into this more, but I think there's the game, right? So it's the dark side of real estate. There's a lot of like smoke and mirrors and games that are played, and it's like everybody's has their hand out for realtors. So there's some kind of like marketing that they get from it. Like people go to their website, or I think one of them was like, we have you on the list, so you should now take this course or something with us. Like there's always some kind of like double
Or they're
meaning
paying
for
for
it.
Yeah, they're paying for it. Like I got contacted, I think it's like 2 different companies and I can't remember what they're called, like Sunny Edmonton or Edmonton something. It's a great concept. So they're like, yeah, we're looking for realtors to add to this like top real estate companies and then top realtors list or whatever. And it looks very strongly just like AI coded. Like it was really funny because under the top real estate companies, they had like a property management company, which I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Property management is real estate, but somebody looking for a real estate company is not considering property. That should be a separate category. And they would have like brokerage names, and then they would have like a single person who doesn't have a team. And like, so it was very like discombobulated. And I believe it was like $600 a year or something like that. So not too bad, but that's proof positive that I could have paid $600 to be on this top realtor list. And I chose not to. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong if you want to be on a list that should be getting some good SEO for you. I'm just saying we need to get back up proof that this is a good realtor for you.
Yeah. Like when I haven't been on social for a while with real estate, and so I got back on it, and they were like posting videos. I'm like, oh look, Yeg Wave and like this other Yeg page wants to like promote our stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sure, post it. And I messaged them back, and they're like, okay, if you want to hear about our pricing. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, I get it's marketing, you have to pay for marketing, but no, I'm not interested. So
no.
Let's move on to the last part of this show, which is the power of referrals. And maybe that can help you like sort out some of this stuff that's tricks. So why word of mouth still beats the algorithm, and what to ask before saying yes to a referral. So don't always just blindly take a referral unless it's like one of us, but no, we'd be prepared to like, I mean, Joseanne and Kim would be prepared to answer any questions that you have. So
yeah. So why word of mouth still beats algorithms is because you're going to have real-time stories, and stories stick to the mind like peanut butter. That's one of those things they say in story brand marketing.
Like what? Peanut butter? Is that what you
Stories stick
said?
to the mind like peanut butter. Yeah. Because
Oh,
it's
okay, I've
true.
never heard
You're
that
going
before.
to remember stories because they're emotionally attached. So let's just say you get a call, Joseanne, and they're like, you may not remember me, but like you sold my dad a house 5 years ago. And like, he was like, he had been divorced and like he lost my mom, whatever. There was some like emotional attachment that made this really hard. And you made it so much easier for him. That was a story that stuck to the mind like peanut butter for that person. And they remembered you, even if you were like bad panda realtor and never followed up with them, right? Because sometimes we are good. I'm not saying you're bad at follow-up, bestie. I'm just saying sometimes people are. Or you just like don't ever think this person would ever call you again. And then all of a sudden they're like, you sold my dad a condo and he just loved you. And I loved that you took care of him and like you're hired. And you're like, oh, hello, random Tuesday morning call. That's why stories work. So like if you have a mortgage broker, you're a human in the world, you're not a realtor. Okay. You have a mortgage broker, ask your mortgage broker for a couple recommendations, because if you like your mortgage broker, now I think a mortgage broker relationship is almost more in a way intimate than a realtor relationship, because you're
Really?
opening up
I
your
don't
financial.
know.
Yeah, that makes people really vulnerable, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I had clients like afraid to talk to a
yes,
mortgage broker. They're like,
yes,
I've got fear of rejection. I'm like, it's not like rejection. It's like you're
yeah.
not going to get rejected. You're just going to get a lower price or a higher price.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a scary feeling unless you have perfect credit and like no
Yeah.
debt and all that stuff. And then in that case, you're just going to assume you're going to get the world handed to you, which maybe you should. But you're talking to your mortgage broker and you're like, look, I'm a first time buyer. I just like need someone who's willing to be patient. Like, oh my gosh, Jenn McPhillamey is like so amazing. Like I've sent a lot of first time buyers to her. That's like instant social proof, word of mouth right there. Yeah. So make sure you ask people that you work with and trust. And honestly, like one of my very best clients, this whole family is like clients of mine. So we wanted to list her place recently, and she mentioned this to a bunch of coworkers, and instantly there was a bunch of people who were like, I know an awesome realtor. I know an awesome realtor. And she was like, so do I. So that worked out really well for me, obviously. But yeah, so if your work colleague or friend or whatever is saying, I know an awesome realtor, they probably do, because they're going out of their way. But what makes it awesome for them doesn't make it awesome for you, maybe. And you need to start asking questions. So
Is that like, what do you guys know anything specifically that you would ask if you got a referral?
Yeah. Like if I got a referral,
no, like so say like I'm Sally and I'm like, I need to buy or sell a house. And then people are like, oh, I know a realtor. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Send me your referral. And then I get the referral. Like, what would I ask the person? Like, say they're like, oh, I'm referring you to Kim or Joseanne. I'm like, okay, I don't know these people, but they help my friend. So like, what should I ask them?
Okay. So I'll answer, and then Joseanne can tell me what she thinks too. But I think the first question you need to ask is the person who's referring you, why do you think this person's a good fit for me? Like, because it might be like, well, my husband and I, we are investors and we've invested and we work with agent Alex or whatever. And you're like, well, I'm just a first time buyer and I just want to buy a condo and I don't have a lot of money. And maybe this person might feel like not a right fit. So I'm not saying that's bad, but I think that it's the same as being set up on a blind date. Why do you think we're a good fit? Right. But if you're talking to the realtor, like you've called the person up and you're like, oh, I work with Sally, she's your past client, I think you should ask them, like, do you have time to take me on? I think that's one of the really important questions you should ask. You can ask about experience insofar as it's important to you. So some people want to work with a realtor who is at least insert number 10, 15, 20 years in the business. Some people only want to work with women. Some people only want to work with men. Obviously, those things could be easily discerned up front. And other things that you should probably ask is like pertaining to your situation, like first time buyer. Do you have any experience with that? Is that something you want to take on? Divorce. There's some people who don't love doing divorce. Like divorce is a real challenge and some agents don't do it. So you need to make sure they're willing to work and meet you where you are.
I would have like, I'd definitely ask like questions about my expectations.
Yep.
So like, if I'm like the type of person that's like, when I see a property, I don't want to miss, I want to go, I would be like to the realtor, I'd be like, so how much notice do you need before we can go look at properties? I know it's not always in your control because the seller has to like approve it, but like, are you like jump to the pump type of realtor if that's what you want, or or like, do we plan this out and like plan for like a Saturday and we just look at like put things on the list all week? You know, I'd be like asking questions like that, especially if I was like a buyer's agent, and then, you know, a seller's agent, my expectations I'd ask about my expectations. So like, is there anything that I have to do, like that you're requiring of me? And what are you going to take care of? So I know that you're taking care of that. I don't have to do that because, you know, I'm busy. So, but anyway, so Josiane, I kind of took your turn, but
Oh, no, I think you guys pretty much covered it. Like, you know, like it's, again, it just boils down to asking questions. Like that's always how you start any conversation or getting to know someone, to find out if you guys are a good fit, is asking questions.
Yeah, I will tell you, like, sometimes we get asked questions by buyers, potential buyers or sellers, that indicate right off the hop that this actually might not be a good fit. Like, I got a referral once, and the first question this person asked me is, what's my list to sale ratio? So I was like, well, I can pull those numbers for you. Like, no problem. I'm just driving right now. And he was frustrated that I didn't know this off the top of my head. And maybe that's fair. I don't know. Like, I don't know my list to sale ratio off the top of my head. And this was a slow market. This was like slow market pre-COVID. So I was like, well, I think it's between X and X. And he's like, I'm really looking for someone who will do over 100% of list price. And I was like, in this market, unless you're undervaluing it and that's risky,
right?
Like you're probably going to, you know what I mean?
Oh, you want me to over 100%, so you want me to tell you a low ball price?
Yeah. So that's what I mean. There's always like tits and tats for like measures for these sorts of things. So anyway, by the time we ended up talking for like 40 minutes, like super nice people. It was not a fit though. Like they really needed to work with someone who was really just extremely numbers driven, and not that I don't understand the numbers, but just more am holistic, I think, like more purpose driven than spreadsheet driven. But yeah.
Okay, come on, but let's be real. If it was easy to do real estate just by numbers, then you could just use AI. Like
you can use AI.
It's not like, oh, I had people who are like, yeah, so well, this house in this neighborhood are this many dollars per square foot. So I don't know why these people think that they should get this much dollars per square foot. I'm like, because it's a bungalow and these are 2 stories, or it's a mix of like things. Like there's so many things. Like, why do you guys think that like tax values are only by fluke the same as the market value? Because that's a calculation, like to get taxes. It has nothing to do with your price of your house in a current market. Like
I could just get a soapbox and talk about that all day long. Like it's so crazy to me. It's a tool, not a defining factor.
Yeah, there's definitely things that I think you can ask a realtor when you get a referral that will not indicate whether they're a good fit for you or not. And I think that's like exactly one of your questions. Like, except for like for you, like the realtor be like, I might be a little busy for that, because like no numbers are gonna they're not gonna appreciate the numbers because they don't make sense, because these people are too logical to think like outside of like how it could really work. So but what other questions? Like, how many years experience do you have? It depends. Like, I agree. Go back to what you said, like before. Does it matter? Like, matters what your expectations are. So like, if you need some experience because of like, I don't know, you're looking for something very specific in a market, and somebody new might not know all the ins and outs of these certain neighborhoods where you're looking for something very specific, then maybe you need somebody like with a lot of years experience. If you need a jump to the pump realtor who's like, because you're quick, you don't know, like you just got, like you normally work all the time, you're like, oh, I'm off tomorrow, can we go see these properties that just hit the market? Like, then maybe you need somebody that isn't as busy that can like meet that expectation for you, so
like I used to work with a realtor, and he was like, I need 24 hours notice from my buyers no matter what, but he set that expectation up front. He's not comfortable, like he's a little more certainty driven. And everybody is so different. But you said something interesting that I want to talk on, because a lot of people, and I think there's so much truth to this, is that realtors will choose the first realtor who gets back to them, so that like expediency of reply. And there's some merit to that, but that doesn't mean they're a bad realtor. It doesn't mean they're a good realtor. It just means they're the fastest that got back to you and happened to be free that day. And there's some merit to that. Okay. Like that's somebody who wants to hustle and work hard. And we love that. We love that in our colleagues. However, it may not even be the best fit for you. Like maybe it's someone who's like, yeah, I'm totally going to take this lead, but actually I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going to go on vacation for 6 months to visit my family overseas. And you're going to be working with like I don't know, insert someone else from my office. Well, if you're looking for more of a one-on-one relationship, that might not be the right fit for you. So I think you should talk to more than one realtor. Like, that's just my opinion.
Another question to ask is, are you full-time or are you part-time? If you're part-time, do you work with someone else? That's really important, because when it comes to speed, that also plays a role if they're devoted in the business full-time.
True.
Yeah, I love that question, because so many times, like, you could be expecting to work with a specific realtor. Like, so sometimes people will contact me and they're like, hey, we want to work with you. Like, I'm upfront with them. I'll be like, well, I'm not working with clients right now, but I have excellent referrals that I think that you would really enjoy working with. Here's their phone numbers and contact information. Get in touch with them and see if they fit for you. But there's other times you'll contact somebody because you want to work with them, and then they're in a team or they're in some kind of relationship with other realtors, and they just refer you off. And then you don't know, like, you research somebody and you want to get a certain kind of service. You specifically want the person, but now you're with somebody that isn't even like who you would ever actually choose. So
yeah, those are good questions. And again, these are not bad things. Like, sometimes there's huge advantages to large teams, because they sort of, like, lack of better expression, splinter out certain things. And then, I don't know, if things are happening in layers, and that's a really awesome business model. There's also advantages to working with someone who's a sole proprietor. I think as a client, that's why interviewing, you'll figure out what you like. Like, one of my favorite stories from one of my most favorite people was a couple years ago. I got a call. This was a referral from a realtor in Vancouver, and I believe it was like a family member through marriage of some kind of the people who lived here. And they were totally upfront about it. And there were two totally different spectrums, right? Like, one was more like engineer, spreadsheet, super green personality, if you guys understand the color test. And the other one was like in social work, super blue, like lovely, lovely humans expecting their first child, and they want to purchase a home. And they said, we're going to interview 3 realtors. We want to meet you in person at a coffee shop. We don't have any expectations for you to buy us anything. We just want to meet you in person. And I was like, okay. And we want to look at 2 to 3 properties with each realtor. And I was like, okay, because here's the thing. If you've done that and you choose me, which luckily for me, I got to work with them because I thought they were really great. And if you choose me, then you're going to be all in on this process, because you've already, like, test driven 2 of the realtors. And, and like, both of those people were great. They said the bottom line was they just felt really comfortable being vulnerable with me. That's why they chose me. That's intangible, right? So they looked at 2 properties with each realtor, and I had no issue doing that. So that's an idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope that lets everybody, or gives everybody an idea, kind of like how to go about finding a realtor that's for you. So, is my realtor better than yours? It's subjective, right? So thanks for tuning in to the Edmonton Real Estate Insider Live. If you found this conversation to be helpful, don't forget to click that like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Right.
Got more questions about moving to Edmonton? Drop it in the comments. We love hearing from you. If you want to connect with us, see the description or show notes. Mention you found us by watching this show in 274 Podcast Hub. We'll send you a free gift. Don't forget, we're here every Sunday, 1 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Eastern, Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern, answering your questions live. We'll see you on the next one. Same place, same show.
Ciao.
Take care. Bye, lady.